Welcome to the Worst of the RIOT podcast. Coming up, when should you keep your Ozempic use a secret?
Also, Americans say this much money makes you financially independent and more on the Worst of the RIOT podcast.
I'm trying out new headphones on the show, and it's, as you may be able to sense, really throwing me for a loop.
What's wrong with you? Why are you acting weird?
Because I got these headphones.
See, but why do they sound weird?
For everybody, yeah, they sound way different. So for everybody, normally here at RadioU and many other radio stations, the typical thing you would do is you'd have the over-the-ear headphones, you know, like the ones that go over the top of your head and whatever.
The ones I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, the ones I say, yeah, but people can't see. And so for me, though, we did have a pair of headphones like that were mine, and they broke. And today, it was like, let's make an upgrade. Let's get into the future. We do a lot of video stuff. It'll look better, and it might sound better if we switch to in-ear monitors, they call them.
Does it sound better?
That's hard to say. Better?
Your voice sounds different.
My voice sounds different.
I think it's because you're hearing yourself differently.
That's
so
what
you're
I'm
doing
thinking.
a different thing with your voice right now.
Is that better or worse?
Way worse.
Way worse. You don't like this voice.
But it does sound a little different.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it all. So I've got the in-ears that's like blocking out. I think it's blocking out all the other noise, but
they look sharp.
It's also like I hear a little bit of a Chris, our engineer, Moneybags. If you're listening, I hear a little bit of an echo. Am I hearing my voice twice? Is there like a delay from hearing my voice to hearing that's noticeable enough? I don't know.
So
if I
are
can
you going to
do
be able to
this.
do the whole show with those on?
I think I get used to it. I think I'll get used to it, but I don't know if it's an improvement. That's what I'm not sure
of. I feel
of.
like a little echo.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure.
But
Maybe
they
I
look
need,
good. They don't look very comfortable.
What's weird too is it's not that they're uncomfortable. I actually don't really notice them that much in my ears. But what is weird is that I can't like take them off and on because they like go over my ears. It'd be very like the headphones you just on and off. These in-ear monitors, they go inside your ear like AirPods, but they're like they have a cord and they have to like hug your ear. And so I have to like leave
Explore. Like if you were going to explore, they kind of wrap around the back.
Oh yeah, like the hats.
Yes.
Like yes, that I was confused at first, but yes, the hats. Yeah, so I have to like have a tug a cord at the back of my head and stuff. I can't just take them on and off. So I have to hang over my ears all the time because I still want to be able to hear the outside world when I'm not doing the show.
I'm not going to lie. If we try to make those like everybody have those, I'm going to fight it really hard.
You're going to fight it? You don't want to try them out?
I'm going to fight.
Look, I mean, maybe I just need to try. I've got like
the squishies?
6 other sets of squishies I can try.
You don't want those.
I don't know. There's the rubbery ones that I have on, but maybe my ears are too, maybe this is the wrong size of rubbery squeezy.
You have the wrong size earbuds in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they're in, but maybe they're not like making a soundproof seal is probably what people would say.
Well, the show is off to a horrible start.
Do yourself a favor and follow The Riot on Instagram at RadioU Riot.
Over the weekend in theaters, the #1 movie, back to back, baby. Mean Girls.
Love that for them.
Not just actors, singers. Because it's a musical, probably dancers too. Another $11 million for Mean Girls, the musical. That puts it at #1. It's now made $50 million in North America so far.
That's pretty good.
Not bad.
Not too shabby.
Not bad. The Beekeeper hangs in tight at #2 for the second week in a row. That's another $8 million. That's the new Jason Statham action movie. Another $8 million. It's at $31 million total. Then, get a load of this. Wonka's #3. It's a long time to stay in the top 5.
Well, it's a good movie, I hear.
That came out well before Christmas. It's still at #3, making another $6 million. Then Anyone But You, which, to be fair, also came out before Christmas. Still in the top 5 with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. And finally, Migration, the duck movie.
Which is also feel like it's been out for a while.
I think that came out right before Christmas. That made another $5 million as well. Here's I guess what's interesting is that the top new release, the brand new movie that made the most money this weekend was ISS. It made $3 million.
That's A horrible opening.
Doesn't sound very good. Isaiah, did you watch anything in the past week that's worth talking about?
Oh, I watched some stuff over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
I watched a movie called Obsessed.
Is that, that's
Yeah, get there.
Ali Larter and Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Yep, uh-huh.
The main
Most
big
people,
name of that
yeah,
one.
most people don't say Ali Larter
They
first.
would have started with Beyonce.
Also, I think is the husband Idris Elba.
It is. They might have started there even.
Yeah, love Idris Elba. That's a weird movie.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is very
No,
weird.
I just was able to name all the people in it off the top of my head.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't know if you. A lot of people have seen it on TikTok. It's been making the rounds on TikTok
Oh, yeah?
recently. That's why we watched it.
Because it's so weird?
Because it's so odd. And it's a good movie, though.
Yeah. But it's weird, right? Because the movie is Idris Elba is married to Beyonce,
Mm-hmm.
and then he like works or something. I don't remember. I haven't seen it in a long time. But Ali Larter, this blonde gal that like comes
She's
along.
a temp at his company. He's pretty much the boss.
And she like gets obsessed with him. Hence the title of the movie.
Yeah.
And then he's like torn, I guess, but he's trying to get away from her. Basically.
Yeah, he's wants nothing to do with her.
Yeah.
And she keeps on coming back around. It's like a drama thriller.
Mm-hmm.
It's not super scary, but there are some parts where you're like heart's racing a little bit because you know where she's gonna pop up.
Is Idris gonna make it?
Yes, exactly.
Will he stay faithful? Will he meet his end? Will Ali Larter get him? Yeah, that's a weird movie.
Yeah, good movie though. I'd give it a good review.
Yeah. I don't
Has
think
a
it
lot
has
of
very good
twists and-
reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but
Well, they don't know what they're talking about. That's good.
Yeah.
Everybody that I watched it with, we all liked it. We thought it had some good twists in it. So I watched that over the weekend.
Uh-huh.
I watched all the NFL games. I also watched the Ohio State Buckeyes take down Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
ooh,
Over the
controversial.
weekend.
Controversial that game was.
That game was a blowout. We beat them in overtime. We spanked them.
No, that's not what the controversy was. In overtime, controversy. I'm in a weird spot because I haven't fully dived into the Oscar movies yet, and the only stuff I've been watching, I've been trying to finish some shows, but most of the shows are not old enough to be interesting, but not new enough to be relevant. Except Fargo, the season finale just was on, and very good.
You liked it.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Let me know what I should watch next and what you've been watching at 8772 Radio U.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Someone has put together something that's actually a great idea, I think. You know how you walk around your town, you probably have the little take a book, leave a book free library things. You've seen those?
I've seen those before.
You probably haven't partaken, have you?
I don't like to take things and not leave anything there because
Yeah.
I don't own any books.
You don't have any books. I have never really participated in the take a book, leave a book either. But if you're a reader, of course, it's a great idea. Well, in California, in this California neighborhood, somebody's put together a take a book, leave a book, but it's for movies like DVDs or Blu-rays, and they've gone the extra mile to give it to make it a little more fun. They've made it blockbuster themed, which is just cute. Because that's it's what it is. And so now you could go to this little kiosk, open up the door, see what there is for Blu-ray offerings, take something out there you've never seen and leave something behind. Isn't it actually a nice idea? Who is it hurting?
It's not hurting nobody.
Yeah.
And you got to imagine, like, what movies are in there.
I mean, it always depends, right? It's the luck of the draw. You never know. You never know what you might get.
Do you think it's primo movies, like movies people want? The DVDs? I know what some of the top-selling DVDs are ever. So
Okay.
more than likely, some of those are going to be in there.
Austin Powers. There's got to be Austin Powers in there.
Listing at number 1, the most commonly sold DVD of all time. Would you take this one out? Finding Nemo. 38 million copies. That's pretty amazing.
That's impressive. I would not do that. I would, because I do still have Disney Plus. But see, this is part of what I was thinking, is that with Netflix getting more expensive and cracking down on password sharing, all the services are getting more expensive. You can't keep them all. So you just go and you take, if there's a movie on Peacock and you can't watch Peacock, you just get it out of this bin, probably.
Like the second most common movie of all time.
Which is?
With 23 million copies, it's Cars.
Also on Disney Plus.
So you're against that one
Yeah.
too. What about this one? Spider-Man 2002. 19 million copies.
The Tobey Maguire one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's probably on Disney Plus also.
What
But
about,
I'm not sure.
Let me give you this then. The Dark Knight. 19 million copies as well.
Now that's on Max, which I also have.
Oh, so no, not that one either. Okay, what about this one? Avatar. 19 million copies. If you haven't seen it once, this is the time.
It's that's also on Disney Plus, but I have no interest in watching that.
Shrek 2. 18
Hey,
million.
that's on Peacock, I bet.
Shrek 2? Yeah.
So your only way to watch it, you can two ways. This free library or buy a Peacock subscription. Which one are you choosing?
Yeah, then it follows up with Transformers, Pirates of the Caribbean, which I also watched a Pirates of the Caribbean movie over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Which I forgot how good those are.
They're some of them are pretty
and
solid.
then wrapping out the top 10, it's The Incredibles.
There you go. I like the idea.
It's a cute idea.
I do wonder what the traffic is on like the book ones. How much turnover is there in any given of the little free libraries?
And like, do you feel bad if you take a movie and you leave like a really crappy movie?
And if you don't leave a movie, is it stealing?
It is stealing.
It is.
You can't just take. You got to leave. It's a trade.
What if you leave more than one and don't take more than one?
Then you're doing something nice for them.
Yeah, I guess so. Then you cancel out the person who took some and didn't leave it.
No, because then it's going to be empty.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot.
How much money do you
RadioU.
think you would need per year, like salary, to be financially independent, to be free, to not have to worry about asking for stuff from other family and friends, getting deals and handouts and, whatever? How much would it take for you to be financially independent? Because I actually have the answer from the average American right here. Isaiah, what's your answer?
It's tough to say. I think that you can be fine making lower than people think.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be way too high.
You think the number is going to be high?
Yeah, I think that the people think of financial independence and they want it to be more than it is.
The answer I have here, this is what the average of Americans say, $94K per year. You got to be making nearly six figures before you can be financially free, is what the average American says.
Does that seem kind of high? It feels kind of high.
That feels a little high. Now, my first thought was it definitely depends where you live. It's just not one size fits all, I would say. But I mean, hey, listen, $94,000 a year. I'll say you ought to be financially free if you're making that. If you're making that and you're still not financially free,
What are you doing?
yeah, you got some issues. You got some trouble in your past. But maybe 94,000. I don't know, how do you map this out? 94,000 a year. Some people have some pretty high student loans, but I think that's an overrepresented portion of the country. So we can disqualify that.
And you can also think this as well. If you're making $94,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
that puts you in the top 24% of the U.S. population.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that, that means that 1 in 4 people are making that much money.
That's crazy.
1 in 4 people are
Uh-huh.
financially free.
That's right. Now that feels like that's low. Like more people should feel financially free. I think more people do, which means it must be lower than that. Right?
You had to think so, right? Because 94K seems like a little bit aggressive. But also, I guess you said it depends on where you live.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in California, that's a different amount of money
Yes.
than it is in Indiana or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you also got to think with a little bit better budgeting, you got to be able to make it work lower than that.
This is an individual, right?
Yes, this is an individual.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, because to me, I'm thinking if I made between me and my wife $94,000 per year would be that's pretty good for two people. Forget about one.
You got to think this as well. This is what I did. This doesn't add up to me, right? So then if we look in 2023,
Uh-huh.
the average income for a family for two people,
Yeah.
$76K. Where's this math?
Yeah. So 1 in 4 people individually make $94,000.
Yes.
And you get the average 2-person income is $76,000.
So you have to think that the other 3/4 of people are making less than that.
So little money.
Yeah.
We're really bringing the averages down here.
Really crushing it there.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Because the average income right now is still like $44,000 for most people, which is people have known that that's how much it is.
You think there's somebody listening right now that's making $94,000 a year, and they're thinking, they're not even like, man, I'm crushing it. They're just like, man, I wish I could make some more.
They're like, how are 2 people living off of this?
Yeah.
76? How? I can barely live off of this.
Listen, what I'm telling you is if you're making anywhere close to $94,000 individually, count your lucky stars. Things are going really well for you.
Stop complaining, you complainers.
You don't always have to agree with Isaiah to always disagree with Hudson. The Riot. Radio U.
2 topics that are close to Isaiah's heart. 1, Ohio State. 2, women's basketball. A matchup over the weekend, you alluded to this elsewhere in the show, is that Ohio State pulled off a big upset over the biggest name in women's college basketball right now, Caitlin Clark and Iowa. And at the end of the game, once it was all said and done, the Ohio State fans rushed the court. Are you pro court rushing?
I'm fine with it. I think court rushing's cool.
I like court rushing, storming the field.
It makes it exciting. It's something that's memorable.
Yeah.
Especially for the fans, for the students that usually do it.
Yeah, it's a special thing. It shouldn't happen too often. And you could debate, this is questionable. Ohio State's women's team also in the top 25. So is this a court rushing scenario? But either way, good to see they're so fired up about women's basketball. But the downside of court rushing and field storming is exactly what occurred in the Ohio State-Iowa at the tail end of the game this weekend, and that is Caitlin Clark herself got knocked down by one of the fans of Ohio State that was rushing the court. And fortunately, it doesn't seem like it resulted in a serious injury, but it very easily could have. Isaiah, what do we do about this?
What's tough, because I look at this and I'm like, she got knocked down, yes. Did it look like it was super egregious? Not so much to me. The video, there's a couple different angles of it. It looked a little bit like a flop. Did it not? To any normal person. I showed this video to many people yesterday, and it looked like a flop to me. But, I mean, maybe she did really get knocked down. Does it not look like a flop?
I'm not going to accuse. What to what end? What would that prove?
Well, she spun in a twirl.
But
let's hear what Caitlin said.
Obviously, I can see they're storming the court, which is fine, and good for their students, great win for them, and I was just trying to exit the court as quickly as possible, so I started running, and I was absolutely just hammered by somebody trying to run onto the court and basically blindsided, and kind of scary, could have caused a pretty serious injury to me and knocked the wind out of me, but luckily my teammates kind of picked me up and got me off the court, so and their AD already came and apologized to me, so I really appreciate that. And this is what comes with the territory. I mean, I'm sure they tried their best to do whatever they could. Obviously it didn't work, and that's disappointing, but just focus now on the game and ways we can get better.
Hammered. She was hammered.
Yeah, blindsided.
You could even say.
I'm really torn here because I love rushing the court, rushing the field. I think it should be done. I hate that schools are encouraged to discourage it. I don't like that, but if she had actually gotten hurt, then where would we be? That might be the end of court storming. So we got to figure this out.
But how do you stop? How do you stop it?
You don't stop court storming. You've got to do something to get the teams off of the field safely.
The players out of there.
Yeah.
Without them being trampled over.
Yes.
Yeah, it's understandably so.
Maybe like a trap door or something.
A trap door?
Yes.
Or just like right when the game ends. I guess it would be safer for them to be off the court. stay by the benches and just file out.
Is that too much to ask the fans? Probably. They're animals.
You can't ask anything of the fans.
No, you can't.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think that she got hammered? Did you see the video? You guys see the video. If you want to see the video, I'll send you the video. In my mind, and I'll call a flop, and I like Caitlin Clark. That was a flop.
8772 Radio U. Is she flopping for some reason?
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
You want a in-ear monitor update? We got new headphones for the show. We've always had over-the-ear headphones. Today, I'm testing out new in-ear monitors, and I'm beginning to worry that my ear holes are not both the same size. Because I know that the little stopper, the little rubbery squeezies on these in-ear monitors are the same size, but they don't stay in my ears the same. Is that a common problem? Uneven ear holes.
I can't think that it is.
Ear canals.
I don't think it is.
I'll have to look into that. Valentine's Day is coming up, and for many, Valentine's Day elicits feelings of love and romance and excitement about your partner, and you're fired up to have a fun date night. But for many others, it can just be a painful reminder of what could have been, of what was and no longer is. And how do you cope with that? Well, the San Antonio Zoo has one way that I think they're encouraging you to cope, and that is they're offering hippo poop scented candles.
Seems like an odd scent.
So I guess you could get that and give it to your ex, like ship it to your ex, like, haha, now you have a stinky candle.
Seems like a waste of money to give to someone.
It does. Or
if you're sending your ex anything, that's probably a waste of money.
Yeah, no, you should definitely. If you are wasting any of your time thinking about them, you really shouldn't be wasting any money on them. But maybe this is not the case. What's weirder? Getting a stinky hippo poop candle for your ex to try to show them, or getting a stinky hippo poop candle for somebody you love and care about, because it actually sounds like, based off of the San Antonio Zoo's description here, it's the hippo poop actually has it's like the cologne of the hippo world. So while we would look at it and think it stinks, to them, to hippos, it's actually like the smell of love. And so you would actually maybe possibly get this for somebody that you are in a relationship with, or would like to be in a relationship with, because it could woo them if they were a hippo.
And this makes me think, like, are there any animals, like, the scent could be appealing?
Of their poop?
No, I'm not talking about poop.
Okay.
I'm talking about any animal that even smells good.
Okay.
Is there an animal that you would want a candle of?
Ooh, that's a good question,
Much
isn't
better
it?
than poop, yes. Much better than hippo
Well,
poop.
I was just thinking, because, like, it's not like animal poop can't be put to good use. There's, like, the coffee that comes from the cat poop, and there's, like, that whale vomit that they turn into whatever.
Yeah, we can move off that whenever you're ready.
There are positive uses in nature, but, yeah, animals that seem like they would smell good.
Like, people think of right away, I think a lot of people think the best smelling animal is a cat.
Not any cat I've had.
Because you think about, like, actually smelling the cats.
Mm-hmm.
Cats can smell good. Like a nice smelly, even like a dog. Dogs can
If you like the
smell
smell of Fritos, dogs can smell very good, yeah.
My dog smells horrible, so I'm not saying that dogs do smell good, but when you think about animals, you got to think that there's not many that have a pleasant smell.
No, because they're all dirtier than us, right?
So much dirtier.
Just about every animal there is dirtier. And you think about this, you go to the zoo. When was the last time you went to the zoo and you're like, smells good here?
I mean, you got to think, like, if we want to go worse smelling, like penguins right at the top is the first thing I think of when I think about the zoo smelling bad.
Yeah. I think we can claim this. I think humans are the best smelling animal.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Even just natural scent, no cologne. We smell the best. I mean, we're the cleanest. We wash ourselves every day.
We've got that one locked up.
There's never been a can of worms they didn't open. The Riot, Radio U.
A new study at the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel has found that women's tears scientifically reduce aggressive behavior in men.
So, like your gal crying, you're less likely to be aggressive?
Yes. Not even the act of her crying. It's a compound in a woman's tears that if a man smells it, it reduces his aggressive instincts.
That makes sense. So they did a study where a female cried in front of a man, and then they asked the man afterwards.
No.
And they said,
not what they did.
Hey, are you less likely to be aggressive if you smell this? How are you feeling right now? They said, to be honest, I don't want to be aggressive right now.
That makes sense, but that is way less scientific than what they actually did. How they actually did it is they had to, first of all, make a bunch of women cry, which I don't know how they did that. That sounds concerning, although some women can make themselves cry. But then they had a bunch of guys play an infuriating video game that was literally designed to unfairly deduct player points and provoke an aggressive response in men. So it must have been the Eggman game. And they then, after these guys have played this game for a while, they either had them sniff like a saline solution, or had them sniff the actual women's tears. So obviously the guys didn't know, but the guys that smelled the women's tears solution had reduced aggressive behavior. They were less likely to seek retribution. It literally says retribution, which is a crazy word to use for video games, but they were less likely to seek retribution after smelling the women's tears. So there's something in a woman's tears that will calm you down as a guy, reduce your aggression. I think that's good to know. I just need to know now, how do we apply this?
Oh, well, this is the way to do it.
Okay.
If you're a man and your female's crying and you're mad, what you have to do is get close to her eye, close enough to where you can smell the tears. So say, babe, if you don't mind, I'm a little upset right now. Let me. I feel better.
And you'll call. Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable.
I think in the moment she'll understand that too. I think that she, mid-tears, will be like, oh, you need to sniff my tears?
She'll just be happy.
You're not making fun of me.
She'll just be happy that she was able to calm you down in that way.
You're clearly not making fun of me. This is just what you need to do right now.
Yeah.
And I think she'll understand that. She'll be very reasonable at that hour.
Should we also make women cry, collect their tears, and use them to soothe ourselves in times when we do get a little
Maybe
aggressive?
It's a lotion we put on every morning.
That's right.
That way we're constantly smelling it.
Mm-hmm. Or do we need to be aggressive? Would that actually be detrimental?
No, we don't need to be aggressive.
We don't?
I don't think so.
I don't know. We can't find out until we try. So,
to be aggressive?
No, yeah.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
A lot of sports going on over the weekend. The UFC 297 card went down in Canada, Toronto to be specific. Did you watch any of this one, Isaiah?
I did not see this one.
I stayed up and watched this fight because I needed a palate cleanser after the Packers loss. And they mentioned this on the broadcast that, of course, the fight was in Toronto, so you know who was on hand. Drake. And you know Drake has a reputation, right, for betting a lot on sporting events. Some call it the Drake curse because he always so often seems to pick the loser. And he did exactly that on Saturday night. He bet on Sean Strickland, who wound up losing by split decision to Dricus du Plessis. It's a pretty good fight. Drake lost $700,000.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
It's a lot of money. But for Drake, is that a lot of money? No, but that's a lot of money.
Just that individually isn't a lot, but you think about all the bets that Drake has made and all the bets that Drake has lost. And that does feel like it. When they mentioned this on the fight before, this was before This is not like the beginning of the fight or early on, before anything had been decided. And I was like, how does Drake have... I know that he has a lot of money, right? But he just loses it so much. How can that be viable long term? It can't. No matter how much money Drake is making, you just lose $700K in a night just like that. I don't understand how he... And then he just keeps coming back to it over and over again.
Yeah, his net worth is $250 million.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, I guess he's doing all right.
If you or
He's doing
I,
fine.
we lost $700,000, $250 million. So what is that? That's
Break
like
it down. Math that for
almost
me.
1/250th of his net worth. What if
Almost.
one of us lost one of 250 of our net worth in one night?
That'd be a lot of money.
Be like, yeah, would it? It would be $700,000.
It would be a lot of money to me, I'm saying, not to anybody else.
That's right. That feels like a high, but see, for him, that's a lot. That's a lot of money to lose still. $700,000 is a lot no matter who you are. If Jeff Bezos lost $700,000 in one day, I think he'd be upset.
It'd be
And I
like
think
if your
he'd-
net worth was $100,000, it'd be like you losing $400.
And you'd feel pretty bad if that happened. But I guess that's... but
Yeah,
for people that
would it
gamble,
really?
though,
I mean,
for
come on.
for gamblers,
Yeah.
that's nothing. But the problem is, if you just do that over and over and over again, it adds up. If you do that 250 times, all of a sudden, you have no money pretty much.
So what you're saying is
But
you're
then-
calling for the downfall of Drake. You think that he's on the way out,
I don't know.
money-wise.
I don't know. He's
You're
got
worried about his bank account.
He's got to get a win here sometime.
I'm thinking his bank account is the last thing I'm worried about. But I will say he's probably upset because Dana White disagreed with
Yeah.
the voters.
CEO of the UFC. I watched the fight. I don't know much about fighting. I say this every time I watch a fight. I enjoy it, but I'm not an expert, shockingly, but I did think that Sean Strickland lost. Gonna have to disagree with you there, Dana. If you want to come on the show and debate it, go right ahead.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Picture this. You're like 8, 9 years old. Your dad takes you to your school where you guys are gonna shoot around on the basketball court with some of the other kids and whatever. Some of the other dads just get together, do a little shoot around. And then you're playing, bang, gunshot.
Gunshots?
That's exactly what happened in St. Paul, Minnesota at Como Elementary School around 5:45 p.m. when police had to respond to a report of a person who accidentally got shot with their own gun. They show up, and sure enough, one of the dads, a 30-year-old who was carrying his gun. He had a valid permit. However, he was carrying his gun unholstered when it discharged, shot him in the leg. Fortunately, nobody else was injured, but a pretty egregious error on this gun owner's part.
At least he just shot himself.
Yes, we'd have a crisis on our hands if anybody else.
If he shot a
got-
child?
Yeah, exactly.
And was he on the basketball court balling?
That's
Was
what
he
it-
shooting hoops?
That's what it seems like. The man had been playing basketball while carrying a handgun on his body, unholstered when it discharged. So,
Well, why didn't he have it holstered? You know, that's the first thing. If you're going to carry your gun, at least holster it.
yeah, we all know that.
It's the first thing.
That's the first thing. But the
Also,
second
the
thing,
safety. Have the safety on.
Yep.
Especially if you're going to be in elementary school.
I've never taken any gun classes, but yeah, the safety feels important. I also don't think I need to take a gun class to know that, like, who's going to shoot the most likely person to shoot you during a basketball game is probably you. Especially at an elementary school. Why did you need to have it with you at all?
Just in case.
What kind of, I mean, maybe it's a bad neighborhood or whatever, but what? You got to have it on you? I guess you don't want, I mean, it would also be irresponsible. There's a bunch of
set
other
it
kids there.
down.
Set it down, yeah. And let little
Because
Jimmy.
you're up. You know, you've
Yeah.
been waiting for your
Uh-huh.
turn to play.
That's right.
You can't just set it on the bleachers. That'd be
Mhm.
crazy.
Well, yeah, yet again,
Keep it on you.
you don't know who else could pick it up if you set it down.
I mean, it
One
makes
of those
sense.
little snot, they could get it dirty.
Exactly. And it makes sense to me. He probably was going up for like a layup, got
Uh-huh.
fouled,
It
Boom.
probably was a foul that made it go
Yeah, it had
off.
to be a flag. I mean, it wouldn't have been just regular play.
Yeah.
Somebody probably got his arm or
Mhm. That's right. We
some
were just playing a
physical
clean
play.
game here. There's
Yeah.
no reason for it to go off, but somebody roughed me up a little bit.
a little physical play, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
And one.
Yeah.
And one.
Shot
So-
himself in the leg.
Do you think, I imagine that responsible gun owners hate hearing this.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because there's such a divide among like the anti-gun people. And then if you have a gun, you're like, but it's safe. And then there's this guy, this bozo out here making it.
Niggas all look bad.
Yeah, that's right. We aren't all carrying our gun with the safety off unholstered while we're playing basketball.
Or playing pickup hoops in
Yeah.
elementary school.
But-
Yeah, it's a bad look across the board.
It does make it seem, I know he's not representative of all gun owners, but it does make it seem like, just because you're a gun owner doesn't mean you have to have it everywhere with you all at all times.
And you think, too, like, the worst part is he's going to have to go back to his wife, and she's going to be like, what were you thinking? Our
You
ch-
talked
our
me into this. You said
child.
it was be safe.
Our child, Johnny.
Uh-huh.
What are you thinking? You could have shot somebody else. Yeah, not a good look for old boy.
Yeah. I wonder, will he get to continue carrying?
Well, I mean, yeah,
After this.
he just needs a holster.
Yeah,
would save
That's the
everything.
problem.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
On our hands here, you can share your advice at 8772 Radio U. I have a person here who has lost about 45 pounds thanks to Ozempic.
That's good.
That's good news, right? The backstory is struggled with her weight for a long time. Finally decided, actually, this was a bit before Ozempic really took off, that dieting, after trying all the diets, whatever, it really wasn't working for me. So I went to the doctor, really wanted to get weight under control. Doctor prescribed Ozempic, and boom, it worked. But was too embarrassed to say anything. And so when people ask, because if you lose 45 pounds, people are going to be talking. And when people asked, she would just say, yeah, just eating healthy, working out, the usual stuff. But now that Ozempic is taken off and she's been lying all this time, she's starting to feel like a little bit of a fraud. And people are asking, Ozempic, a big topic of conversation. Should she fess up to her friends and say, yes, it was Ozempic this whole time, or continue on living a lie? Isaiah, your thoughts?
This is a tough situation to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not living a lie. Like, I get that maybe you told your friends that you were eating healthy or whatever, but it's not like it's anybody's business whether you took Ozempic or not. Like, who do you owe to tell?
Uh-huh.
Like, they don't need to know your personal weight loss stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And so if you feel as if
But you did lie.
you did lie, but it's your own personal business. So in my mind, I'm like, you don't need to go back and be like, hey, just so you know, I know you asked me a while ago what I did. I actually took Ozempic. Like, I don't think that's anybody else's business.
But does this change because the way she speaks about it here, this woman who prefers to remain anonymous, of course, I'm getting the impression that because Ozempic is such a high-profile, hot commodity topic of discussion at the moment, that some of the friends that she has are throwing around negative opinions of people who take Ozempic as well. Maybe they would think a little bit differently of her if they knew. Maybe they'd think differently of her in a negative sense if they knew. Or maybe their opinions of Ozempic takers would change if they knew she was one. Does that change your trajectory here on this?
No, I still don't think that she owes anybody anything.
Keep it a secret.
I think if you don't feel comfortable sharing it with people because you're embarrassed, you don't need to tell anybody.
But why should she be embarrassed?
I'm not saying she should
Everybody's
be
doing it
embarrassed.
now.
I'm saying that there's no reason for you to be embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do feel embarrassed, then you don't need to share it. Do I think they'll mock you for it? No. They shouldn't if they're good friends. They should be
Yeah.
happy that you've lost weight. But if you don't feel comfortable sharing it, there's no reason for you to feel like you have to.
But they may not mock her. They may be like, oh, it was Ozempic the whole time. Well, that changed my whole view. But they could be mad at you for lying because you did lie. So keep it a secret.
You think keep it a secret?
Yeah, I think so.
if you don't feel comfortable sharing it or you feel nervous about it, you don't have to do it. But if you would like to, I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it is.
Let us know what you think. What would you do? 877-2-RADIO-U. Do you confess? Do you say, yes, it was Ozempic all this time? All that dieting stuff is nonsense.
You've caught me.
Yeah.
It's over.
Red-handed. I can't live a lie anymore. Or do you keep it a secret and let them waste their time dieting, even though it won't work as well as Ozempic would?
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Isaiah, have you ever thought about what you would say to a celebrity if you got the chance? Like you just happened to brush up against them at the mall. And what would you say?
Well, it depends on the celebrity.
Yeah, it does, right? But you can't plan for every celebrity. So do you have like a template?
Oh, like a cure-all type deal?
Yeah, just because to me, I always think, depending on who the celebrity was, I'd try to say, hey, I really liked whatever you did, but I would not pick the most popular thing. I'd pick something that's less popular. And if I can't think of something less popular, then I'm not that big of a fan. I don't need to say anything.
Got it.
That's my strategy.
So you're thinking maybe say something obscure, memorable even.
Mm-hmm. Like,
to prove your fandom to them.
If it was Rainn Wilson from The Office, for example, I wouldn't say, hey, I really liked you in The Office.
Because that would be too obvious.
Everybody says that.
Yeah.
I would say, I really liked you in Super. And he would be like, wow, probably way less people saw that movie. I'm glad you liked it. I hate it. I'm being him now. I actually hated it. I don't know if he hates it. I think he liked it. That's what I would do. But I have a flight attendant here who actually did run into Rainn Wilson from The Office. And I think she had a very good strategy that she went with as well, because she went from the heart. She dropped him a note as she was.
Oh, a note.
She dropped him a note written on a napkin. I guess she maybe was a little too bashful to say anything to him face to face. Yeah, but instead, she dropped Rainn Wilson, who played Dwight Schrute in The Office. And the note written on a napkin says, "The Office got me through some of the darkest days of my life. I can't thank you enough for that. Sincerely, Melanie, Alaska flight attendant," from an Alaska Airlines flight that Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, was on. That's pretty good, right? That's pretty good from the heart.
Very cute.
I like that. But then, Isaiah, the cynical part of me kicked in.
Oh, here we go.
Because did you hear what airline Dwight Schrute, Rainn Wilson, was flying on?
Alaska Airlines. That's the first one that caught my eye as well.
Yeah. And what a good little PR moment for Alaska Airlines. You know who could really use a good little PR moment right about now? Some positive headlines. Alaska Airlines.
That is cynical of you.
It is, right?
You can't ever just
you think this could
appreciate something good?
Could this be orchestrated?
You think orchestrated?
Could they have wrangled a little deal with Rainn Wilson and just be like, hey, say you were on Alaska Airlines flight, get somebody to write a note that looks like it's from our flight attendant. Boom. Is it that hard to believe that could be a possibility?
It's not that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Would you have picked Rainn Wilson? Would he been the first choice? They're like, we need to get some good PR.
Probably because he's attainable. A lot of now Rainn Wilson, I don't know if he does this. A lot of the Office people huge on Cameo. This is basically a cameo. They're just like, hey, instead of like recording a happy birthday message, record a, wow, Alaska Airlines. Thanks.
Let me ask you this though, right? The reason it seems orchestrated is because she dropped it to him when he's sitting on the flight.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would the flight attendant write Alaska flight attendant and not just flight attendant?
She's right there.
Like she's on the plane.
Yeah.
He knows it's the Alaska Airlines.
He knows which airline he's on.
Like she had to put Delta flight attendant.
Yeah.
Spirit flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
She really had to write Alaska.
It doesn't pass a smell test to me. It doesn't. And I like Rainn Wilson, but I don't know. I don't know about this one.
You think it's orchestrated?
Flag on the play.
Oh, goodness.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the Riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Having mirrors in a bathroom, a public bathroom, is a necessity.
I think it's a big positive when you do.
Yeah.
Whenever I walk into a bathroom and no mirror, I will say I notice and I am usually upset.
It always feels questionable, right? It feels sketchy. It's like, why don't they have a mirror in here? And what do I look like? Is also
Is there something in my teeth? Is my hair messed up?
Yeah. So much uncertainty comes with a bathroom that doesn't have mirrors in it. But I'll tell you, at some North Carolina middle schools, they've had to made the difficult decision in Alamance County to completely remove mirrors from the bathroom. If you had to guess why, Isaiah, what would be your guess?
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't looked at the article.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind is something about how they don't want kids to feel insecure about the way they look. That's what I'm leaning right now. It sounds like kind of a thing that they would do.
Yeah, that's not
nowadays.
Giving kids enough credit, I don't think. That it is not. Some might jump to that conclusion. That's not why they've decided to get rid of the mirrors. But good guess. The real reason is because they were experiencing students asking to take bathroom breaks, but whether the students were actually using the bathroom for its intended purpose or not, what they were eventually doing was using the mirrors to make TikTok videos while they should be in class learning.
Not TikTok videos.
Yeah. And since they've removed the mirrors from the bathroom, they've seen a drastic decrease in students asking to go to the bathroom. And so they are considering this a success. The students aren't going to the bathroom to make TikToks anymore.
That must have been a pretty big issue.
I guess so.
That many kids were making
all of the
TikToks.
mirrors out of the bathroom.
That many kids were doing it.
Now, to me, I'm shocked at this too, because I would think if you're a kid, a middle schooler, and you want to make TikToks, there's other ways to make TikToks besides just in the mirror. But so you could still go to the bathroom and take a break from class and make a TikTok, or even better, pretend to go to the bathroom and watch other TikToks. But apparently the students have decided not to do that. They're like, well, no mirrors, no making TikToks, I guess. You got us.
Doesn't it feel like you can make TikToks with someone just videoing you?
So now we have to go to the bathroom in pairs.
2 people.
Yeah.
You got to go at the same time.
Yeah. Why is it that you and Erica always have to go to the bathroom at the same time? It's very odd.
And then they're in the bathroom, the TikTok music starts, and they're dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty extreme case. But
yeah,
I feel like there's worse things they could be doing in the bathroom.
There must have been some kind of trend going around that is true. There must have been some kind of trend going around just at this North Carolina school that revolved around mirrors.
There's always a big issue with kids going to the bathroom in schools, high school, middle school, whatever.
I get
There's
that.
always, they're always doing something wrong in there.
Mm-hmm.
If they're frequently going to the bathroom, that means that there's something wrong going on in there.
Uh-huh.
And if they're making TikToks, that's I feel like that's the least of our worries.
Yeah.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.